Good evening, everyone. We are live on the Doug Saravo Show. So, season 4 has basically concluded, and for season 5 will start in a few weeks. We're going to start off doing NFL predictions, I believe, with Michael Lepore. So, that's going to be a great episode. But tonight, I'm going to show you a few flashback episodes that we did earlier in 2020. The first one that I am going to show you is when Jeffrey Byrnes came on the show. Jeff has been with me on prior episodes when I did the podcast, The Doug Saravo Show, in Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey, on messengerradio.com. You can find those on Anchor, Apple Podcast, all your podcast applications. So here's some highlights from the episode with Jeffrey Byrnes. Great episode. And you can find the full episode on, again, all your podcast applications. So here it is. Highlights from the Jeffrey Byrnes episode.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It's best time of the year.
I'm having a draft on Saturday, fantasy draft.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I gotta work. Who are you gonna take?
I have the 5th pick, so
Okay.
I'm debating either DeAndre Hopkins or Michael Thomas. Probably one of those two.
Okay. I would go with like Kyler Murray.
Yeah. Nah, I think it's too early for that.
And
We have keepers in our league.
Yeah.
My keeper's Russell Wilson.
We are back on your typical Monday night podcast. Alongside me, Andrew Brent. We have a special guest, Jeffrey Byrnes. Jeffrey, 1 week from now is Major League Baseball trade deadline day. Are there players that you think could be traded? And are there players that may actually surprise all of us that they got traded?
I do think there would be some players traded. I'm not sure if this is actually going to be a blockbuster trade, but I think Cleveland obviously is looking at dealing with Mike Clevinger, obviously because he decided to go out into a nightclub and he just completely lost the locker room and the team. So I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up getting traded. There are also teams that I think could be looking at possible trading, like for example, like the Boston Red Sox. They haven't had a good year, so a guy like Mitch Moreland could possibly be traded.
JD Martinez.
JD Martinez, I think, could be very well traded. His value is very high right now. Kevin Pillar, certainly. The Tigers, Kansas City, also I think could be looking at trading assets. For example, I think Texas Rangers, Lance Lynn's having a very good year. I'm sure there'll be teams out there looking for starting pitching that could use him. I won't be surprised if there's teams like the Seattle Mariners. I mean, they're trading everybody every year, so I won't be surprised if they go out and be sellers at this deadline. But it's also, you got to look also at the financial aspects too. Going into 2021, it's going to be an interesting year because obviously the economy's right now on some kind of a downturn. Teams aren't exactly going to know what their financial situations are going to be next year, so a lot of teams could decide by the deadline if they should truly sell, if they truly should buy and take up some of these big contracts. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah. So what are the chances that Whit Merrifield actually gets traded? He's been talked about every trade deadline.
He's had a very good season. He's batting, I believe, .312 right now, so he's actually been one of the bright spots for the Royals. And I think there could be teams looking at him to possibly trade for him. It will be interesting for sure. So I definitely will look out for him on the
Pressure's on.
Like they're going to be it's a win now team. They're going to be in championship mode. Like their window is now open with those two coming back, and especially there've been rumors going around that the Nets are possibly involved in maybe a trade for Zach LaVine or a Bradley Beal. So they could be looking to add more players. So yeah, obviously I think it's going to be a much different atmosphere in Brooklyn with those two coming back, and I think the pressure is certainly going to be on.
Yeah, and I could see a championship eventually happening in the next 2 years because they have those two guys.
Well, I think that's the window. I think these next 2 to 3 years, they have to at least make a finals appearance in order for these two contracts to work. Otherwise, I think it's a complete utter failure on the Nets organization.
And everyone was talking with those trades they made and giving their draft picks away. But when you look at it now, they could have a really good team.
They could have a very good team. It's like Boston had the first overall pick, and they traded it to the 76ers, and the 76ers used that pick on Markelle Fultz.
Who?
Exactly. He's on the Orlando Magic right now. He was a bust in Philadelphia. And with that eventual pick that Boston got back, they used it on Jason Tatum. So Boston not only won that deal, but they got a possible superstar in Jason Tatum. And so Philly, like I said, like not they certainly have been hit or miss in the draft. Obviously, they hit with Embiid and Simmons, but I mean they could have possibly had Jason Tatum, 3 first-round picks.
They're huge.
They are huge, and honestly, we have to see what Nolan Foote can do, because he came back in the Blake Coleman trade, and the Lightning were, from what I've heard, they were very high on him, but obviously they were willing to trade him for Blake Coleman, so we'll see if he becomes a prominent player for the Devils.
So we don't know what Corey Schneider could do because of his injuries. So do the Devils maybe go after like a Robin Leonard or a Braden Holtby?
I wouldn't be surprised if the Devils possibly go after a goalie in this free agency. I mean, because like you said, yeah, Corey Schneider certainly, his injury history is honestly kind of gotten out of control because he's missed a lot of time over the last few years.
Yeah,
I mean, he was benched for Keith Kincaid when Keith Kincaid got hot and he led the Devils to the playoffs. And it just seems like when Schneider came back, he just doesn't look right. I mean, I don't know if it's like, obviously he's getting older, the injury's taking a toll on him, but certainly Braden Holtby can certainly be a good option for the Devils as a backup, be a veteran presence for Mackenzie Blackwood, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Devils jump into the goalie market, look for a goalie.
There has to be like a certain age. Like I think 5 and up would be a better age to have kids wear masks, or 10 and up. I think because these kids, they don't really understand what politics, economics, and corruption is all about. They don't really understand all that, and they don't understand what disease is about. So I think they should I think some of these policies for mask usage and just for the whole virus should be changed, because this can't go on. And a 2-year-old, like I said, has no clue what's going on. They don't understand the whole thing. They tend to play with their faces. So they
Your final thoughts on today's show?
Well, first off, thank you for inviting me on. It was a pleasure to be here with you today. Andrew, it was a pleasure to be with you as well.
Thank you.
I thought we had a good candid conversations regarding COVID, regarding the sports from the NBA, NHL, NFL. And with regards to COVID, obviously I know we're all going through tough times right now. I mean, it's
unless you're too young to remember anything.
You could say that, but I mean,
because
right now. Yeah. We just have to, stick together through this. We'll get through this. This will all eventually end. But right now, we just have to focus on, keeping each other safe, keeping each other healthy. And, when this is all over, we can all hopefully throw a massive party, thank our nurses, thank our doctors, and just, one day, we'll all get back to normal and go about our normal lives. So, yeah, let's just, stick together, get through this, and we'll come out of this at the very end.
Thanks again for listening to the Doug Saravo Show. Alongside me, we have Andrew Brem and Jeffrey Byrnes. Jeffrey, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. See you guys next week.
So that was a great episode that we did. Having Jeffrey on in prior episodes, whether it was in Hasbrook Heights or the Saravo Broadcasting Studio, we're able to have good debates, me and Jeff. No matter what the discussion may be. It could be from politics to sports, Yankees, Rays, that rivalry. I'm sure when he comes on for season 5, we're gonna discuss that for sure. The Yankees, Rays. Of course, I think the Rays are going to win the World Series this year. Jeffrey may have other ideas. We'll discuss that when we have him on for season 5. But yeah, season 4 was honestly a step forward for Saravo Broadcasting, the Doug Saravo Show. And when we look at where we are today, there's a lot. We took a step forward for sure from the way we did it in the beginning with Andrew and Brandon to doing it virtual now. And we're working on the studio right now, as you see where I'm at. We're gonna try and get a green screen. We're gonna try and get a nice setup. So it's gonna be interesting for season 5 for sure. We're gonna have more guests. And season 4 we had we had a few good guests on. You know, we had Eddie Stulak, we had Nick Klein, Jillian Roberts, we had Brandon Schwartz, we had Andrew Brem, we had Matt Sacco, Mark Weiss, Mark Merrill, Andrew Mackin, James Diacomo. So, you know, and then season 5, once hockey season gets started, once football season gets started, along with the postseason for Major League Baseball, that I cannot wait for. You guys have no idea how excited I am for this postseason. Tampa Bay Rays, the best team in baseball, and I went to the Philly game with Kyle and James in Philly, and that was an interesting game because as we look at that game and the way they performed, you know, first of all, I think Joe Girardi was an idiot and he shouldn't have brought in Zach Wheeler for the 9th. But that's a different conversation for another day because we won the game. So I really don't care what Joe Girardi did. I really don't, because we won. You know, we won that game 7-4. But it was kind of funny going to a game in Philly, and you know, we went to a lot of Philly games this year. You know, but this was different because I actually wore my team gear. I had my Rays World Series hat, my Rays Mike Zunino jersey, and I saw another Rays fan, so I wasn't the only Rays fan there, but it was just exciting because it was so quiet. It was so quiet after the game, and I was just so happy. You know, hearing Philly so quiet, like, you know, and of course, when they announced the starting lineups for both teams, whether it was the Rays or the Phillies, you hear the Rays fan behind me. You see Rays fans anywhere? Yeah, he saw me, so he had to say that comment. But the Trop is going to be rocking in October. You know, we have a fan base, but no one wants to go to Tropicana Field. No one wants to. We're in St. Petersburg. You know, move to Tampa Bay, move in the city somewhere, because we do have a fan base, and we have that bad stereotype that, you know, there's no fans in Tampa Bay. There's fans in Tampa Bay, and, you know, you see it year in, year out. When we go to the postseason, the crowd shows up. The crowd does show up. So it's not like we have a small market team, but we have a lot of success. And, you know, how can you complain about that? You know, you got teams like the Yankees and their fan base that think they deserve a World Series every single year. But you know what? It doesn't work like that in professional sports. You have to earn it. You don't deserve it. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, I'm going to show you the episode where we discuss Steve Nash. It was technically Andrew's last episode where he resigned because he was starting school. But other than that, I thought it was another great episode. Andrew with his predictions, you know, Pittsburgh Pirates win the division. It was a fun episode for sure. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Season 5. I really appreciate the support in Season 4. Shout out to everyone that supports Survivor Broadcasting, including the haters and the doubters. We all love you. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. Again, if you're just joining us, you know, we don't want to keep the Monday night slot dry. So we're showing you guys old clips, top moments, whatever it may be. But other than that, we appreciate you guys, and we'll be right back after this quick commercial break. Where the Monroe Falcons are playing the St. Joseph of McCutcheon Falcons.
Past that game's history, we have a state's championship on our mind now.
The ranch, the buffalo.
It all works together very nicely.
Welcome to Falcons Insider.
Falcons Insider.
On today's episode, we're doing a lot of great work. You know, this is work that people said couldn't have been done before. A lot of money doing something you love.
Re-elected team reporter.
Yeah, what a season that was for you. 54 points in 18 games.
But definitely, I mean, when I said that we're going to win GMCs, I think that's another one that we remember. Yeah.
go down in history. You just said it with so much confidence.
All right, we're back on the Doug Saravo Show, Season 4. We're heading to Season 5 soon. So, what can I say about Season 4? It was a great season, for sure. But I think everything improved in Season 4. And, Season 5 is going to be bigger and better. We're going to have more topics to discuss. But, during the summer, there's nothing really to talk about because it's the off season in most sports. You have baseball, sure, but you don't have football, you don't have hockey, you don't have the NBA. But I came across a lot of people, and I think we may start a politics channel and discuss politics, but that's going to be completely different compared to this. So when I have that updated and posted, you guys can give that a follow. I'm not sure when that's going to start, but it's going to be interesting for sure. Now, I got a tweet, and someone wanted to know if that was a full episode. The full episode is on. The full episode, you could go to your podcast application, whether it's Apple, Spotify, RadioPublic.com, and the full episode is there. And what I did was, and you could find it on the YouTube page, Saravo Broadcasting, or even the Instagram page, Saravo Broadcasting 24, is we didn't do it virtual. We didn't stream it because we didn't have the application yet. Shout out to StreamYard. It's a great application. We weren't doing it like that. We did Facebook Live sometimes. We did Instagram Live sometimes. But we didn't do it the way we've been doing it now, as you see with the virtual. So we didn't post full episodes like that. Sometimes we did, if we did on Facebook Live, or we would just record it on the application, and we would post it. We would record on Anchor and post it to, Apple, Spotify, whatever it may be, whatever it was. And what I did in the beginning is I just posted my favorite moments and top highlights. But yeah, I did that for every episode, but I didn't do that in the beginning, where we would do virtual, and then maybe an hour later, I would post, top moments from the show. So this is where we discussed Steve Nash. We did baseball predictions. We discussed the Mets. So I just took highlights from each episode. We did some small clips. But this is how the show started, and now we're doing full episodes virtual. So here it is. This is one with Brandon Schwartz.
Ready for the show today?
And yeah, Brandon's been a great co-host. He has a show called Schwartz Center and the Madman. I technically fired him, but that was all fun and games because I wanted to be like The Apprentice. So I was like, "Hey, Brendan, you're fired." But Madison Valdez is still fired. Madison Valdez will never be on an episode ever again. But Brandon, he'll be back for Season 5. I think we're going to do this NFL preview again, where we did our predictions. Somehow I did the Cowboys were going to win I did the Cowboys to win the NFC last year, and boy, was that... if they stayed healthy, it might have happened, but other than that, I thought that was probably one of the most idiotic statements or predictions I've made, to think that the Cowboys would win a conference championship. But this year, I truly believe it's going to be the Bills and the Packers. I think they get over the hump. I think Brady was a one and done in Tampa. Although, if everything goes their way, and there's drama in Green Bay, I see Tampa Bay returning and winning it again. I just think that the Buffalo Bills have the experience, and they will get to where they want to be. But other than that, and then we'll do another NFL prediction show with Michael Lepore. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but Michael Lepore will be on. We'll call that episode Dougie and the Bolt. He also has a segment named after him called Stutz Betting, so we'll get to that one day, and that's going to be a good episode. Mike's a good guy. He's a Chargers fan somehow, he has yet to see his team win the Super Bowl, but there's nothing we can do about it. And but yeah, this was a good episode, and here we go. Brandon Schwartz, Andrew Brem, Doug Saravo Show. This was recorded. I think this was recorded either before Labor Day or after Labor Day. So honestly, this could be a year ago today for all I know. I'm not 100% sure, but that could be it. So yeah, here's the highlight from the Steve Nash going to Brooklyn episode, along with the Mets beating the Yankees. And I think this was also NFL training camp or something. Yeah, all right. Here we go.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, we're going to start off with Steve Nash going to Brooklyn.
Steve Nash going to Brooklyn, yeah.
Wow. Hello? Oh, okay. Well, you tell me what, 20 minutes before the show? Alright, I understand. Andrew's resigning from the show.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't know why, but he just told me he's resigning.
I'm sorry to hear that.
We gotta find a new co-host. So what were you saying about Steve Nash?
Came out of like nowhere. No one even mentioned Steve Nash.
Yeah, he wasn't even a contender.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe Greg Popovich. I mean, my friend Jeffrey Byrnes said Greg Popovich. Even just say Ty Lue. There were guys out there. But I guess they decided to go with Steve Nash. All right, we'll talk more about it on the show. I'll see you in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Andrew, man.
Crazy, right?
I know.
Lets you know last minute.
I'm Doug Saravo. I talk sports, politics, and faith. This is the Doug Saravo Show.
The Nets fired Kenny Atkinson when the pandemic began.
Yeah, like mid-March.
Yeah, and Greg Popovich was a big talk here about being the next head coach. So what I thought about this was like Steve Nash was hired out of nowhere. No one even mentioned his name at all. I remember I woke up and I was waking up in the morning. I think when did they even sign him?
What day was it?
Last week, I think.
Yeah, no, I think like 2 weeks ago.
No, it was like last Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, and I woke up and was like, Steve Nash. I thought it was actually going to be Greg Popovich. I think most people thought it was going to be like Greg Popovich.
Yeah, that's what my friend Jeffrey said when he came on the show about
Steve
2 weeks
Nash.
ago.
Steve Nash, I never even knew he wanted to be a head coach. Nobody knew he wanted to be a head coach. So it was like, just shocking to everybody.
Yeah.
And I think he'll be all right. He's got a good team in Brooklyn,
Well, Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving both approved of it. They gave their okay on it. Well, he's a point guard.
Well, as long as Kevin Durant can find a way, because he's got to run the team. Him and Kyrie got to run this team
exactly.
as long as they stay healthy.
Yeah.
Steve Nash played in over 1,200 games, averaged 14 points, 8 assists. Do you think when you come to head coaches that normally it's like it's in hockey, most of the defensive guys become coaches. In baseball, you don't really hear of an outfielder, more of like a catcher like David Ross. Do you think that maybe because he's a point guard that he could run the team?
He probably could.
Yeah.
I mean, point guards are basically like that main factor of an entire basketball team, and they're like one of the best players on the team normally.
Ty Lue was a guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam Cassell was a guard, and he's been an assistant coach.
That's driven deep down the left field line toward the stands. It's out! Peter Alonso wins it on a walk-off two-run homer in the bottom of the 10th, and the Mets yank it out 9-7.
Brandon, your New York Yankees are struggling very, very bad.
It's unwatchable, man.
Gary Sanchez is batting what, like 135? What happened to him?
You know what, Doug? This year to me, anybody, I really don't think the season even matters. It doesn't matter. 60 games, it's not enough to really determine a championship, you know. To me, you know what? They're going to struggle, and it's not really going to matter because next year, hopefully, we'll be back to normal, and they'll get a full 162 game season, and there'll be more of a chance for them to have these slumps than get into a good rhythm. Because 60 games, you don't have enough time to really go from a streak to a slump to a streak. You got to do it. You got to.
Oh yeah, 162. It's completely different.
Yeah.
ballgame.
So you know what? It's gonna you know what? That we knew that was gonna happen with a lot of these teams. They were gonna struggle. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you look,
we'll give it. We'll give them a pass on this one. You know.
I'm looking at the standings right now. You have Baltimore that could be in the playoffs. You have the Tigers that could be in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Seattle's only 2.5 out of the wild card. Miami could be in the playoffs, and they're only 18-18. So you really look at these teams. We've seen it in the past where the Marlins are like 31-27, and then they somehow fail to win 61 games. Realistically, if this was 162, these teams most likely wouldn't make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand that aspect of it, but as a Yankee fan, it has to be difficult when your guys can't hit.
It is difficult, and especially again, we don't have a lot of games left. So we would have to if we want to make the playoffs because we're on the brink of not even making the playoffs. We're going to drop that spot that the Toronto's going to end up taking over the spot the Yankees would. So they got to win these games against Toronto coming up. I believe I checked the score last time they were winning 2-0. Luke Voigt hit a 2-run home run, so that's a good start.
The Philadelphia Phillies, 20-17. What do you think Joe Girardi can bring in a full season? You saw him for 10+ years as a Yankee.
Oh, he can bring a lot. He can bring a lot. He knows how to work. He knows how to work well with injured players. How to fill in the roster spots. He knows how to bring in the right pitches for the bullpen sessions. He knows how to figure it out. And he's a knowledgeable guy. He played baseball at Northwestern, which is a good school, and he's a smart guy too. So and especially he's got a good team. Got Bryce Harper,
sure.
Didi Gregorius, who's on a 1-year deal, Real Muto. So they got a good team.
Those are both free agents that could take a walk.
Well, I think Didi might leave. I think Didi, to me, is going to come back to the Yankees. Because I think the Yankees want him. I feel like the Yankees want him back. Because I feel like, his time was he wanted to finish some business in New York.
The NL East, probably the Washington Nationals.
I mean, they're only 9 games out, but it's possible.
Yeah.
They're 14-25. I mean, they did it last year.
I'll say that. It's just
they did it last year, so if they could do it. This is a weird season, so.
But we'll try. I mean,
We'll
just going to give it.
We'll try,
give it a
Andrew.
shot.
And
why not?
Why not? Go out with a bang. This is your last show for this moment, so do it. And I'm going with the New York Mets. I really think they're going to go. I think they're going to go on a roll. The Cardinals, the Brewers, you have the Reds, and for Andrew's sake, I'll add in the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Oh my God!
They're another team that is like 9 games out.
Yeah.
NFC East.
Eagles.
The Philadelphia Eagles?
Yes, sir.
You really like what Carson Wentz can do?
Yes, I do.
All right, Brandon. Time for the NFC North. I'm going with the Minnesota Vikings. Who do you have winning?
Minnesota Vikings as well.
Minnesota Vikings?
I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears.
The Chicago Bears? Really?
Yeah.
Is it because Nick Foles is going to take over?
Yeah. I
thought so.
Yeah.
I thought so. All right, time for the NFC South. I got the New Orleans Saints.
Okay. I'm going to go with Buccaneers at NFC.
Yeah, Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay.
You got Tampa Bay?
Going Tampa Bay.
Andrew, who do you have?
The NFC South, it would have to be Tampa Bay as well.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yes, sir.
And my NFC West, I have the San Francisco 49ers Andrew, who do you have?
Seattle.
You have the Seattle Seahawks. Brandon and I are going to miss you.
I know.
You told us today that you were resigning.
Yes, I am for the summer.
For the summer.
Yep.
You only came for the summer.
For now,
so,
yes.
Technically, we could say this is like an internship for you.
Yes.
So it's been a pleasure, Andrew. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Let's give you a round of applause.
Maddie, Andrew, always a pleasure, man. Thanks for joining the show.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That was a great episode for sure with Andrew. A little fun fact for you. When it came to those predictions, those were pre-written for Andrew because we knew his predictions were going to be like unrealistic. He would have said, well, I'm not sure if you guys saw an episode in the past, but he actually predicted Yoenis Cespedes to win the Cy Young. So, we had to make sure he was prepared for that because we didn't want him to embarrass himself when it came to predictions. Like, he brings comedy to this show. So, other than that, we really appreciate your support. And, that's a wrap for Season 4. And I'm going to look for top moments from Season 4. And we're going to conclude with that. So, once I find it, it's going to play. And we'll see you guys next time, all right? Season 5 is going to start up in a few weeks, but give me a second as I find this. All right, your top moments from Season 4. I'm Doug Schravo, part of Schravo Broadcasting.
We have
signing
new
off.
guests today. Nick, the pizza maker, and Jillian Roberts. Guys, how are you today?
Nick the pizza maker.
What? That's what you do, right?
Yeah, but
we don't call you Doug the dishwasher.
Oh no.
You could, I mean.
It's busboy, by the way.
No, I no longer bust tables, Andrew. They promoted me.
Oh, okay.
They are very important.
I agree with that, but it's not only about the picks. They gave up two highly class penalty killers. You don't understand how important Verona was to the playoffs.
Yes, Mel. Richard Ponre in the penalty.
You're not understanding what I'm saying. Those depth players are making an important role for a team. That's what we got. Look at Tampa's team. Their
Mark,
depth
look
was,
at your Penguins in the back-to-back years.
Cullen was a fourth line center.
Bonino, Hagelin.
I know. These are depth guys that you need.
Andrew, but the Penguins didn't just win the cup because they had Crosby and Malkin and Fleury and Murray and Letang. They won the cup because of their depth, their third, fourth lines.
Let's just go back to last year. The Lightning had 4 high-quality lines that won them the Stanley Cup.
Anthony Cirelli, Yanni Gourde, Blake Coleman, Patrick Maroon.
All right, Steve. Was Braden Nikita Kucherov, Hedman.
That's
no
not
shit, Andrew. But that's not how you win cups. You don't just
depth.
win a cup by having these top players. You need depth.
Highly touted players does not win you cups. Heard it here first.
That's not what we're saying.
That's not what we're saying. You're totally freaking lost in this conversation right now.
Mac, you need depth to win a cup. When it's late in the game and your first line is dead tired because you played them 25 minutes.
But they got depth, even though
they don't. Not anymore. They got rid of Verona and Panik for one guy.
Both of them.
We might have to move on, Doug, because this.
I'm loving this.
Who's going to be though the difference in those two games in Columbus, right? And because I think we should all remember a year prior to that when the Capitals won the Stanley Cup. They went down 2-0 to Columbus, and they went back to Columbus and almost lost that game 3. But
yeah,
they
in
had
overtime, it was that close.
They had difference make. I mean, Ovechkin was the guy that took over. The Lightning, I mean, Kucherov took out his frustration, got suspended for game 3. They didn't have the difference makers.
So do you think on Columbus's side they figured if we stop Stamkos, we stop Hedman, we stop their top players, we got this?
And a lot of it had to do with, no excuses. They rolled into that playoff, right? They were fighting for that last wild card spot. We were done playing meaningful hockey in March. I don't know how much you can pin that on Cooper or maybe the players or a combination of the both. But yeah, Tortorella, Tortorella had them ready for those plays. I mean, that was a good team. Panarin, Duchesne, all those guys, right?
Yeah, they brought in a lot of guys too at the deadline.
Of course, yeah, they weren't a bad team. I mean, they didn't get dominated by Boston in the next series, but it was something where I think that the Lightning were too used to playing mediocre hockey, and a combination of they didn't have depth players that were able to shift the momentum of the series, especially going back to Columbus down 2-0. I mean, it's hard to come back like that.
So let's get to 2020. We know momentum is huge, and we could look at 2019 with the St. Louis Blues. If the pandemic hit in 2019 and the season got called off, we know that Blues team may not have won the Stanley Cup.
I had some nice goals here and there.
Yeah, you did. Char scored a few.
They were all slap shots. Yours were all deflections.
Yeah, I kind of got lucky.
Yeah, but goal's a goal, as you said, as you can see.
And I gave up plenty.
Yeah.
And you scored what, 78 in your high school career?
Was it something like that, 78? I don't remember, but it was cool to take a lot of those accolades away.
Before we finish up, is this true? There was I believe Caca Valley was supposed to be captain your senior year.
Yes.
And he came and told Winters saying, give it to Stulak. That's true, right?
100% true. 100% true. Big shout out to Brandon Caca Valley for that.
Because, I remember that.
Minter was going to make me assistant captain, which at that time I was kind of butthurt about. But Caca Valley knew that. As a team player, he reached out and said, Ed, Stu should take the captain. But you know what? To this day, I regret taking it, because Caca Valley definitely deserves that seat. I never should have been the captain. I was not a leader back then. I was not. I was a goal scorer. I was the one that just wanted the spotlight. That's not leadership. So today, I definitely should have. If I had the mindset that I had today, I would have given the seat to Caca Valley. I would have said, no, you deserve it.
He would have had it for 2 years.
And you see what he did? That just goes to show.
That's a leader move.
That's a leader move right there. So, big props to Caca Valley.
Yeah, thanks for joining me today, Eddie.
Thanks for having me on, Dougie. Thanks for making me look like Slovakia can't even tie their own skates. And
yeah, 11 penalties. Thank you, Eddie.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Well,
I only scored once on the.
At least I won in something, in some category.
Yeah, penalties.
Penalties.
All right, thank you everyone for listening to the Doug Strauss Show. We'll see you next time.
He tells me, I want to take Kyle. I really want to take Kyle.
I mean, hopefully we can go to a game. Hopefully we'll be able to.
If not, for sure, we'll go next year. And
Definitely.
then your mom always comes to me and she's like, you're going to take Mom, right? Your mom wants to come to a game with us.
I mean, if she wants to, she's more than welcome.
That would be fun.
I think it'll be fun. The more the merrier.
We'll have a nice car ride, listening to stories.
Oh yeah, that'll be amazing. Oh God, I'm totally not being sarcastic right now.
Lisa, if you're watching, we can't wait to go to the Devils game with you. We love you, Lisa.
Yeah.
I've been on this since the beginning, and I'm not surprised by it. Yeah, there you go. Oh my gosh, you're right there. Do you want to hear a story about that jersey, by the way?
Yeah, let's give it to the viewers.
That jersey I purchased at the Montreal Forum in 1990 when I went to see the Habs play the Oilers. That was the year that the Oilers won their final cup of that run, the fifth and final one. But I was up there. I went there to see that game. I bought that jersey. Thankfully, it still fits. I must have done something right that it actually still fits me. But I bought that jersey. I've worn it a zillion times. If you could zoom in on it, it's got so many pill marks all over it. And
Before you have your answer, I'm going to go with Mika Zibanejad as the captain.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think there's definitely some guys that you could pick from. I mean, Mika, Kreider, Panarin, definitely the way he's played.
Surgery, so it's
Yeah.
a lot
I mean, when the Devils traded him for Santini, it went the other way for Nashville because Santini was a better defensive player.
we took all this cap, and now
Yeah.
we're back to rebuilding.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I've been a Devils fan since '85, so I've kind of seen all the different things. And
Oh, so you're living through what I'm living through now.
yeah, I've already lived through it. I missed the
You gotta do it
Meadowlands.
twice.
Yes, I missed the Meadowlands, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that was I was like.
The Meadowlands was a better arena than the Prudential Center, just because of location and everything. And I feel like this location in Newark is actually cursed for them right now because the only cup run they really had was in 2012, and the reason and all the next draft years were so crappy was due to the fact that they got penalized with the Kovalchuk deal, which a lot of the newer fans don't even know about.
And no one's on the team anymore from that era.
Right, and that was the
Zajac,
last. That was
Green.
almost the last hurrah from Lamoriello and Dave Conti and everything. I mean, you can thank James Vanderbeek for having the rink in Newark instead of having them renovate the one up in the Meadowlands, the Brendan Byrne or the Continental Airlines Arena. I mean, for me, it's always a Brendan Byrne. That's all the Devils.
For me, Izod, kind of, right? Yeah. Continental, then they changed to the Izod Center.
Yes, and the Devils are already out when they were the Izod Center, which people don't realize the boards at the Prudential Center are higher by the benches, and they were actually lower at the Meadowlands when they played. There was an old hit that Randy McKay did on one of the Red Wings in Game 4. Actually shows them flipping them over into where the photographers were.
Nice. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I've been a Devils fan when Sean Burke was there. Randy Valachek, Dougie Brown. I remember when Kenny Danica was around, Craig Mladen, Johnny McClain. One of my favorite players still to this day, Patty Verbeek. I remember a lot of old time Devils. I've been a fan since the red, white, and green days.
Yeah, and I thought you were my age.
Nope, not at all.
All right, Matt, good job referencing today.
Thanks, good job on the commentary, good job. And
Thanks.
we're twinning tonight with the hair. It's great.
Yeah, thanks. I'll see you next time, buddy.
All right, bud, thanks for having me.
Anytime.
There we go. There's my name right there.
Can we show us to the camera, please?
I don't know if you see it. Right there.
I do Douglas Aravo.
Yeah, champion. I love this thing.
Yeah, do you sleep with it at night?
No.
Wow.
It's next to my experience behind the kitchen. What's your, how do you get your momentum? How do you get your confidence to build like a great pie?
So I'll be honest, I just put on music and just zone out. I just go. Literally, I can put on any type of music and
It's my positive
yeah,
comment.
I
Drive in the
just put
car
my headphones
forward.
in and then just do it. It's there's literally nothing behind it.
I don't know.
You know why? Because I think he looks at Doug like he's a government official or something. Like I think he feels like Doug could be like a guy who works in like a state house or something like that. He looks at Doug like he's like a government official.
That's a compliment, Doug.
I know it is.